The knight is a rather difficult piece. That's why this part is a little bit longer than the other pieces. I'm going to remind you that the knight cannot ever move to any square right beside him. The knight cannot ever move to a square on the same diagonal, or for that matter, any square the same color as the square he's moving from. He cannot move to any square on the same vertical column, the same file. He cannot move to a square on the same rank. This knight will switch the color of square he moves to every time he moves. If he starts on a black square, he goes to a white square. If he starts on a white square, he goes to a black square. It's the nearest opposite colored square which is not right next to him. So this knight cannot move here, 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 or here. Since the knight cannot move like a rook, it cannot move here, or here, or here, or here. So how does the knight move? Whatever color square the knight is on, the squares he can move to are not right next to him, not on the same file or rank. They're the nearest square which is not in line with him. If a queen were on the square the knight is on, the queen would not be able to go where the knight can go. The knight, again, he switches color every time he moves. He will never move to a square right next to him, but the square he moves to is just one step farther away. So let's look at his pattern again, where he can move to. We'll put a knight here. Okay, now where are the squares he can go to? Notice if the letter is of the square that the knight can go to, if it's different by only one letter from where the knight is now, then the number will be different by 2. If the number is different by 2, then the letter will only be different by 1. Every single square that this knight can move to is a black square because he's on a white square. Notice that this knight cannot move to any square right next to him. Notice that any one of these moves is a move that no rook or bishop or any other piece of whites or blacks could do except a knight. Only a knight can move like a knight. Every square is just 2 steps away. See, it's just like 2 steps away. You could think of it like a curved move, but it's better to just think of it as a single move, directly to the square. This is how the knight moves. It's right in between the move of a rook and a bishop. Right in between. It looks like a spider. See? These are the squares that the knight can go to. Every square that the knight can move to is the same distance from the knight as any other square the knight can move to. So these are the squares the knight can go to from here. Notice now, with the knight on a black square, he can move only to white squares. You need some practice with the knight to make sure you understand it, because it is important to move the knight often.